I started a recruitment company at 25 years old. 6 months into starting that recruitment company, I thank Allah Azza wa Jal, but I was making £20,000 a month. And month 7, £20,000 plus. And month 8, and we continue to grow on. Today, 5, 6 years in, we're doing extremely well. But if I was to give you guys a full plan and tell you exactly what you needed to do in 3 months to grow as fast as you possibly can and get to £20,000 a month, what would I do? Well, I made a lot of mistakes. I've learned a lot in the way. And if I had to go all over again, I'd be in a very good position to start from scratch. That's exactly the plan that I'm going to share with you today. And you see, we have to start with our mindset because I'm going to share a ton of information with you guys today, but a lot of you guys won't even be able to concentrate for the full video. Like, you won't be able to take all the information in, but trust me when I say there are gems that are going to be shared in this video, and I'm sharing how you could start this business from scratch. People have paid money for this information, and I'm sharing it for free on this video. The advice I would have given to myself and the advice I'm going to give to you guys is you have to believe that you can achieve success in recruitment. You have to believe that you can make £20,000 a month after 3 months in recruitment. It is possible, by the way, and let me explain, to be fair. If you now, for example, find a company and they need someone on a £50,000 a year salary. £50,000 a year, by the way, it's not a crazy amount. Actually, a lot of people are on £50,000 a year salaries, right? Well, as a recruitment company, you would charge 15% as a finder's fee. What that basically means is, if the person gets the job successfully, you speak to the company and the company says, yes, we are looking for that person. That could be an accountant, an engineer, an IT consultant, a project manager, the niche, everything is open. In recruitment, you can practically hire a candidate in any single industry. So, for example, now on a £50,000 a year salary, you would say to the company, I am going to find you this candidate, and the fee I'm going to charge in return is going to be 15%. That, by the way, is the industry average. So in the industry, charging 15% is the average. And companies expect that because a lot of companies deal with recruitment companies, right? Well, straight away you're thinking, well, if companies deal with recruitment companies, why would they work with us? Let me tell you, they will work with you as long as you have the right product. As long as you have the right candidate, they will work with you. And so, as long as you can provide that candidate to the company, they will work with you and they will pay you the fee because in essence, they need that person. So what really works sometimes is you find the candidate before you make the call. And it's a conversation that I have a lot of times with the people that I teach, and I'm going to share it with you. And that's when you pick up the phone, you say, look, I've got this really good candidate. He's an accountant. He's ACCA qualified. He's got X and X, and he's worked in X industry. And that is relevant to the company, by the way. If that company is looking, they will have a conversation with you, because you've come with someone and they really do like and they do need that person, right? So there's no reason not to have a conversation with you. It helps massively in sales and cold calling when you have a product ready and when you go to the company with that product. And so pick up the phone, but have someone ready, and it makes a huge, huge difference. Now, if you can get one successful candidate a job, that's £7,500. £7,500 for just one candidate. And the reality is, 3 months in, you can and should be working with 3 to 4 companies who are giving you at least 2 to 3 jobs every single month. That is, in essence, what you should be looking to do. Now, if you can get 4 companies to give you 3 jobs, that means 12 jobs. Out of those 12 jobs, if you can fill at least 4, you've got your £20,000 a month. And by the way, that isn't as hard as it might sound. See, it will sound difficult to you because you're thinking about £20,000. But if you think of it like this, you need to get 4 companies to give you 3 jobs a month, and you need them to be convinced in working with you and give you real proper jobs, right? If you can get 4 companies to give you that, then it's looking likely. It is possible. And let me go through some numbers and actually how you would go about doing something like that, because I think that's important. And something like this can definitely be done part-time as well. So if you're working a job and you're stressed and you're thinking, well, I can't do it because I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time in work, I'm gonna have to spend a lot of time making. Actually, that's not true. I make calls sometimes, cold calling calls, and there's videos of me doing it. I spend half an hour making calls and I pick up 1 or 2 jobs. Or rather, 1 or 2 clients give me jobs. 1 or 2 clients give me jobs, and sometimes they give me 2 or 3 jobs. So, and that's only half an hour of calling. Obviously, it does help if you know how to make those calls, how to deal with objections, how to deal with the receptionist, how to really convince that client to work with you, how to make sure this company is definitely going to give you the business and really be serious with you. And when you provide that candidate, they're actually going to seriously consider this candidate. All these things are important and you have to understand them, because when you do, it becomes a lot easier. See, otherwise you're like a headless chicken running around hoping that something and money falls from the sky. I can explain a little part of it to yourselves, but obviously you would struggle if you don't have that direction. So now I've given you a rough idea of what you would say to the company, right? You would pick up the phone and you would say something like, I've got this really good candidate, he's available, he's in the area looking for work, it's something you guys look for. Who can I speak to in regards to the recruitment process of your company? And you wouldn't say your company, you would actually say the company's name. So I would say something like, who could I speak to in regards to the recruitment process of ABC Limited or ABC Welders, ABC Accountants, or whatever you want to call them, right? Now, when you start doing that, you pick up the phone over and over and over again, as well as sending emails over and over and over again. So you've got two plates that you're twirling both at the same time, as well as then being active on places like LinkedIn. And so you are trying to win business from all avenues. Day one of you starting your recruitment company, how are you going to get to £20,000 a month in, month 3? Well, you have to have some planning beforehand. So what I would suggest to you guys is make a list of companies that you can call and contact and get some business on with. And that list should be at least 500 companies long. If that list is 500 companies long, then you're in a very good situation day one when you start calling and when you start doing business development. Because actually, look, out of those 500 companies, assuming you get 1% to agree to work with you, that's 5 companies. Remember what we said in the beginning? You just need 4 companies to give you 3 jobs, right? So, assuming now you get 1% of the 500 companies to agree to work with you, then it's looking very likely, right? Now, it does help, and I assure you, it's very important to be able to differentiate between a client that isn't going to waste your time and a client that is seriously looking for someone. And I'll give you 2 examples here. And this is a mistake that a lot of people make, right? Sometimes you pick up the phone and the company says something like, yeah, it's something we're looking for, send their CV. And you get excited because it's the first sort of success you've had when you're making a call. You get excited and you think, wow, you tell everyone about it. You tell your mum, you call her and you say, I've got a job on. I'm going to be successful. My recruitment business is going to be successful. Reality is, right, that company might not actually be serious. In fact, by the words that they're using, they're probably not serious, right? So the company has said something like, oh, of course, send their CV across. It's something we do look for sometimes. If you convince yourself that that's a job, then that's going to massively affect you, because you're going to go away from trying to get new business on and you're going to try find candidates for this company because you think now this company is seriously looking for someone. So now your attention has been moved from where it should be in developing more business to finding candidates. That's not going to help you. So you're finding candidates now, you send CVs forward to the company and they don't come back to you. So surprise, surprise, they don't come back to you. They were never really that serious. If, the Kylian Mbappe of accounting had become available and was looking for half his wages, then maybe they would have turned around and said, organize an interview. But how often does a Kylian Mbappe become available for half his wages, right? And that's something you have to understand, right? Are they actually in the market seriously looking for someone, or are they just feeling what's in the market? How do you differentiate between the two? How do you understand? You ask the questions. You ask the right and the most important questions. And some of the most important questions are along the lines of, how long have you been looking for this person? Why would you ask that question? You ask that question because if that company has been looking for 3 months or 4 months, then clearly it's been a long, long time. And there is something wrong here. They're not that serious. If they were that serious, they would have just made or committed to hiring someone within a matter of a week, 2 weeks, a month maybe at max. But they wouldn't take 3 months, right? Asking them something like, how many recruitment companies have you got working on this already? Why do you need to know that? Well, if you've got 3 or 4 companies working on this one position already, then the chances of you now spending time on this and then finding someone successfully is much lower compared to a company saying there's only one other agency or one other recruitment company working on this job. Does that make sense? Because you've got so many people trying to find this one person for this one company, the chances of you actually making with this company are much lower. These are processes you have to understand because it saves you time, it makes your life easier, and you actually know how to make money. Some people think it's just a case of finding a candidate, giving him to a company, and you're going to make money. It's not. It's just not, because you haven't really understood how to take information from a client, what information to take, what to do with that information, and how to act upon that information. These things are crucial for you to be able to make your £20,000 at the end of 3 months. Now, assuming the answers are the way you want them to be. So the company says we only use one recruitment company. The company says we desperately need someone. The company says, we haven't been looking for that long, and actually we haven't even put any adverts out, and I'm just having a conversation with you because you called at the right time. That does happen a lot, to be fair. Another really good question is, if I can get the right candidate and you like that candidate, can you interview him next week? When's your availability for interviews? Get that information out, because then guess what? The client is already subconsciously thinking about interviewing your candidates as long as they're good, right? You've already cut off a process, which helps massively. It's hugely beneficial to deal with these objections way before they even come up, right? So we've dealt with some basic fundamentals, and I promise you there are super detailed information and things that we have to go through every single time, and every single action has multiple layers to it. And once you have that theory and knowledge and information, you're able to cut through the meat very quickly. It's like having a blunt knife and trying to cut a steak. You're struggling. You're like, it's not working. It's not because information is like a sharp knife. Once you have that information, you know exactly where to cut, exactly what to do, and it's super easy. But if you don't have that information and knowledge, then you do struggle. It's a fact, right? It's why experienced people get paid a lot more money. They know exactly what to do. They know exactly where the problem is and exactly how to solve it. But if someone is junior, they'll just be, waving their hands around and trying to work things out and trying to come up with a problem and a solution, and it could take them 3 months. But someone could come in and deal with that problem in a day. And that is the difference of you guys not having the information and knowledge, right? That is actually the difference. So hopefully this video is giving that to you. Hopefully you guys are getting some information and knowledge and understanding exactly how you could make money in recruitment. And look, I'm giving you guys free advice, right? So like this video, like the video, share with your family and friends, and subscribe to the channel. Share the video with your friends, because maybe you and your friend can start a recruitment company together. But once you've understand the mentality, once you understand that the client needs to be serious in making sure that he's working with you, and you understand asking questions in the right manner is very important, let's go through how often you should be calling the client. To be honest, if you're looking to make £20,000 a month after 3 months, you need to make a lot of calls, and you need to send a lot of emails, and you need to speak to as many people as you possibly can. As long as you do that. And what I mean by that is, if you have the ability to do this full time, then listen to me very, very, very carefully. Pick up the phone and start calling and making sales calls between 9 o'clock and 11 o'clock, okay? Or 9 o'clock and 12 o'clock. If you can call for 3 hours, 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, okay? And then you can call from 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And you can do 5 hours of calling. And you do that for 2 weeks, just 2 weeks, okay? All I'm asking you guys is to make calls from 9 o'clock to 12 o'clock, and then 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock, and do that for 2 weeks. I promise you, after 2 weeks, as long as you have the information and the theory and the knowledge, and you understand exactly what to say to the client and the solution and how to deal with the problems and the objections, the amount of jobs you will get, the amount of clients you will get, the amount of people that will agree to work with you, it is crazy. You will be baffled at how many businesses are happy to deal with you from an avenue of providing recruitment services for them. After those 2 weeks, you're going to make sure you only work on the clients that are serious. The only clients that you work with are the ones that you have potential to deal with in the future. For example, if a client says, I only need 1 person a year, and another client says, I need 1 person every month, then you better know I'm going to work with the client that says, I need someone every single month. I'm going to over provide on the service. I'm going to make sure that client is happy with me, because there is potential to work with this client for the long term. That's exactly what I need. So prioritize the good clients and the bad clients. And this is where you should have some sort of a list, like a B, and a C list. A clients are the ones that you're like, I seriously need to break into these clients, and I need to work with them, and I need to make sure they're happy with me. B clients are like, yeah, I like them, I could work with them, and maybe I could, they can turn into A clients at a later date. C clients are the sort of clients I will keep in touch with on a monthly basis, and I will fill a job with them because it gives me £5,000, but I'm not that serious about them, because actually I realize if I spend too much time focusing on the C client, I won't have enough time for the A clients. Focus where the money is. Focus where you're going to make a lot of money. Focus what is right for your business. Don't focus based on emotions. Now, once you have a ton of clients giving you jobs and happy to work with you, and you've agreed your terms and conditions with them, you've told them that you're going to work to 15% or 17 or 20% or 10% or 12%. I would never work to 10%. When I say I never would work to 10%, I think I have in the past, though, because I get to a point where clients work with me at 15% and more, I wouldn't work to 10% now, because obviously I understand my time is valuable. But if in the beginning, you are looking to just win business, then it's completely fine for you to accept 10%. Having said that, let me reiterate though, it is much better for you to keep your fees high, and also the client doesn't actually care that much about money. That's important to understand. Your client doesn't actually care that much about money. And why do I say that? It's because you're dealing with HR, production managers, directors. The money's not coming out of their bank account. The money's coming out of the company's bank account. So money doesn't affect them that much, but providing a good service does actually affect them. Bear that in mind, because when you're providing a service and trying to negotiate with them, understanding where their pain points are is crucial to closing a client in being able to work with them. So then when you get on the phone and you start speaking to candidates, you need to speak to a ton of candidates. Every single job where a client is serious and actually looking for someone, you need to be able to send 3 candidates to that job, right? Look, in the beginning, long hours, spend time, send candidates, get on the phones, do as much as you possibly can, right? The hardest I worked was in the beginning. Now, it's super easy. A client just emails me, I need X, and that is it. And I just forward it to a resourcer. A resourcer is someone that finds candidates for my companies. I forward it to the resourcer. Resourcer, gets the candidates, sends it to me sometimes sends it directly to the client. And guess what? One successful placement, I end up making £5,000 to £7,000 a month. And some of my placements are more than £10,000 a month now, because actually there's a big company that we deal with now. So if you're sending 3 candidates to every single job, it does therefore mean that you need to speak to a lot of candidates and make sure these candidates are relevant. And the same way, you need to be honest with yourself when it comes to the client and find out whether this client is actually very serious. The same way you need to find out if this candidate is serious. How do you find out the candidate is serious? Well, if the candidate is getting paid £50,000 a year and you're offering £52,000 a year, you need to ask more questions. More questions like, how do you get to work? Do you use public transport? How much do you spend on transport? Are you working from home? Are you not working from home? Would you like to work from home? Do you have anyone you manage? What's the most important things to you? What do you want to, be at a director level? Do you want to progress? What are the 3 or 4 most important things to you in the next job? What's your relationship like with your senior management? These are super crucial, important questions that you have to ask. And there are so many more. There are so many more, because asking these questions is vital and pivotal to making sure this candidate turns up to the interview and takes the job when he is offered that job. If you don't, guess what happens? The client doesn't come back to you because you haven't asked them the right questions. The client was never really actually that serious. Then you spoke to the candidate, you didn't ask the right questions, and so the candidate doesn't even turn up for interview. The candidate doesn't take your calls, the candidate ignores you because this role wasn't as attractive for them. And if you are in a situation where you can't find someone and you have a candidate now, and you're not sure whether he's going to accept the job or not, it's okay to send that candidate. But what's more important is to be honest with yourself and say, this candidate, he might not accept the job. So whilst this interview process might or might not happen, I need to find someone else. I have to try to find someone else. That's crucial in making sure that you, in essence, emphasize the fact that you are going to get this money. You're going to get this £6,000, £7,000. Because you know what? It's a 1-week process, a 10-day process. And imagine in 10 days from you picking up the job, you finding the candidate, he turning up for interview, you could have £7,000 or £8,000 confirmed. And if you do that with multiple companies, with multiple placements, with multiple jobs, you can genuinely have £20,000 confirmed. It happened with me. I've shown my bank statements. I've proved it to you guys multiple times. But I assure you one thing, that if you want to make £20,000 a month after 3 months, you're going to have to pick up the phone a lot of times. The biggest problem here is many of you guys will think it's not possible, and it's not possible unless you commit to the action, unless you have the knowledge, the theory, and then you commit to the action. A lot of people don't do the action. I could honestly tell you guys this now. Most of you will not succeed in business because you just don't commit to the action. You will ask questions like, what if this goes wrong? What if that goes wrong? What if this doesn't happen? What if that doesn't happen? And when I ask the question and say, well, have you actually started? Guess what the answer is? No, I haven't got around to that yet. I'm just doing X and I'm just doing X. No, you're not. No, no, you're lying to yourself. I'll be honest, you are lying to yourself. Commit to the action. Start. Just start. Nothing can go wrong. Your situation is you're on, working a job right now. You're making 30 grand a year, and you haven't progressed from that at the moment. And you pick up the phone and you start trying to win business with clients, and you're trying to start a business in recruitment, and you're trying to get a £7,000-8,000 placement, right? You're picking up the phone. What could go wrong? Are you going to lose anything? No, because it's a service-based business. It doesn't cost anything to start. It generally doesn't cost anything to start. So what is going to stop you from picking up the phone and asking those questions? So clients, convince them. Make sure you have the theory and the knowledge. And it's important for me to mention at this point, we do have a place where we teach how to start your recruitment company. I will leave the link in the description below, recruitmently.com. 5 professionals, director level people who have 25 years plus experience in how to start your own recruitment company. Myself, I've started a recruitment company from scratch, from zero, by the way. I now work with some of the biggest companies in the world. I've gone to people who are experts, my directors, my ex-directors, and they've been in the recruitment industry for 25 years. Set up multiple companies and sold multiple companies. I've also then gone to other directors that don't win business by calling, but win business on LinkedIn. They don't do anything else apart from winning business on LinkedIn. Imagine getting a client and making a placement, but just sitting there on LinkedIn. Crazy. But they teach everything on how to start a recruitment company. A to Z, everything is included. 18 hours of content. We also do live webinars. We have a community. We teach as much as we possibly can. And if I'm being completely honest, guys, if you guys are watching this and the price is still what it is doubling. The price is doubling very, very soon. And the simple reason for that is one placement, absolutely minimum, is £3,000 or at least £4,000. £3,000 to £4,000. And the course is half of that right now. And I believe it's only fair where we're providing so much value and giving, webinars and communities. And I'm hiring people to support everyone even more, which obviously adds to the cost, that I do believe it should be double what it is right now. So if you haven't joined and opted in and left your details and stuff like that, then I guess, look, it's completely up to you. This is not me convincing you. I've still given you how to pick up the phone, what to say to candidates. I've still given you all that information. And I'm going to give you even more information now. But the point is this: if you want real theory, knowledge, everything like that, leave your details, sign up to Recruitmently. It is of benefit. I would never share something which I don't think is of benefit. And hopefully you guys find as much benefit and are able to start your own recruitment companies just like people already have. Now, the biggest mistake in all of this, when you're calling these companies and calling the candidates and doing all the work here, the biggest mistake you can do is if a candidate gets an interview with a client and you start calculating, right, well, if this candidate gets the job, guess how much money I'm going to make? £5,000 or £6,000? And you start working out how you're going to spend it and doing X and X and X. Very problematic. I'll tell you why it's problematic. It's because you stop doing what you should be doing, which is continue making calls and continue speaking to candidates. I'll tell you a story, actually. It's funny because I had a client and I had, I think it was something like 10 interviews in 1 week with this client, right? And I started working out, if all of them get the job, I was going to have, as you can imagine, a lot of money I was going to make in that 1 week, right? Probably a footballer's wage, right? And I mean top Premier League players, okay? I was going to make in that 1 week. Guess what? None of them got the job. In that 1 week, none of them got the job. But the good thing I did is I never stopped working on other things. So I continued working. The week after, I had 6 interviews. Guess how many got the job? All of them. And that is how it is. Sometimes things go your way and sometimes things don't. But the worst thing you guys could do is when things are going your way, assume that they're obviously going to go your way. Stop doing what you should be doing, which is sales and cold calling and all of that stuff. You stop doing that. Guess what? Then your business just stops. Everything cuts off. Everything stops. And that's not what you want to do. So make sure you stay on top of business development. Make sure you send your emails. Make sure you speak to your candidates as much as possible, because you get a lot of leads just from speaking to candidates. There is a lot of information in this one YouTube video, and I'm going to continue making long form content and sharing as much information as I can with you guys when it comes to business, finance, and starting your own companies. So make sure you subscribe to the channel, because Muslims in a lot of places in the world are some of the lowest achievers, and I'm sick of it. It annoys me that Muslims are some of the lowest achievers in the world when it comes to business and money and finance and, a lot of avenues. I'm tired of it. And so help me get this message out, because I want a lot of people to understand how to make money, how to start businesses, not for materialistic things, but so they can balance deen and dunya and be able to practice their religion for themselves. But that's all for me today.